Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Nitin Pachisia on the line, and he's founding partner over at Unshackled Ventures. Nitin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adam.
So I'm excited to get into what you're doing over at Unshackled Ventures. So let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah, so we're a relatively young venture fund. Started about 5 years ago, investing in immigrant-founded companies right from the time they started the company. So we're now being called a pre-seed stage fund, investing in tech, life sciences, materials, everything that scales, and specifically taking care of things that immigrant founders specifically deal with, such as immigration, access to customers, access to investors, alongside our investment. So that's a brief summary.
Tell us a little bit more about your thought process and why you went the direction of going the immigrant founder route. And I mean, I love the concept, and I'm just curious as to what, when you sat down originally, you're starting the company, like why you went in that direction.
Yeah, personal experiences. I started a company while I was on a visa and went through a journey that I didn't expect would take as much of my time as it did in terms of dealing with immigration, and didn't realize that VCs had not really created a product for immigrant founders, which was surprising given how successful immigrant founders had been. So it was one of those learned moments of missing product, and we took that to the heart. The other option was writing a Medium post and whining about it. So we decided to take the hard path and solve the problem. So hence our affinity as ourselves being immigrants, knowing the nuances of when you're starting a company as an immigrant entrepreneur, and more specifically, we're talking about scalable businesses here. So it's a long-term journey. It gets tough at times, and so just knowing those nuances and having a framework to be able to address the challenges specific to our customer population gave us the unique insights to get into it.
Man, I love it. And I love when a business starts based off of you were solving a problem for yourself, or you went through the problem yourself and you're like, wait a minute, somebody else, why did I have to go through all this? It wasn't necessary because so many people after the fact benefit from your work and for what you figured out. What are some of the unique challenges that you would say that you've experienced or you've found in working with a unique population of founders?
I wouldn't call them challenges. I would just say incremental things that just have to be done. And think of a typical entrepreneur's journey. They're spending 200% of their time building their company. So when you add even an incremental piece of work for them, it's taking away from their focus on the core business. And that's why the incremental things matter. I had the fortune of being at a company that was funded by the likes of Andreessen Horowitz, First Round Capital, Floodgate Capital, and we got a lot of resources from our venture partners to scale our businesses, right? In terms of recruiting, in terms of help with access to customers, design, and so on and so forth. So when I started my first company, I just made an assumption that when I need help on immigration, some VCs have just figured out the playbook, and it was kind of an unpleasant surprise that nobody had. So what that means is entrepreneurs are left to figure out that part of the equation themselves. Takes the time away from building the company, and that's why the three things that we figured talking to a lot of entrepreneurs. So I didn't want to be biased just by my experience and my partner's experience. So we went and talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs and figured out the three things they really care about is immigration, because it is a starting point bottleneck. So if any of the co-founders are on a visa, they need to figure out how they're going to stay in status in the country, following the rules and regulations of our laws, the U.S. laws, and not going out of status. coincidentally, most immigration attorneys don't really understand startups, and so they get cookie cutter
Mm-hmm.
responses such as, "You're on H-1B, you can't start a company." Obviously, that's factually incorrect, but a lot of responses are of that nature. So taking that immigration burden off of our portfolio founders and doing it at Unshackled, we added an immigration partner to the team. So they do all immigration work for our portfolio companies, which means the founders are not spending any time learning immigration, right? Just not a great ROI for founders. After that comes access to customers. Now, if you're new to the country, you don't have friends that, you grew up with, or your social network is not as evolved where your friends are executives at companies. So how can we become the friends and family equivalents for these portfolio founders and give them access to the potential customers that they want to talk to? And this is not about selling. This is about, at this early stage, it's more about learning and iterating and getting to know what your customers' day-to-day is like. So that becomes the second biggest area that we focus on. And then as the company starts growing, capital is a requirement. Capital is needed to unlock some of the scale. And at that point, we become their introductions into the next stage investors, right? So those are the three things that we really, really think with our involvement, we can accelerate the speed of execution for our portfolio companies.
Tell us a little bit more about the niches that you pursue or that you work with from the business side of things. So not the founders, but the companies themselves. What do you like to target?
Yeah, we don't, honestly. We look at the entrepreneurs to guide our vision. So one thing we know is we're not the experts in every industry. We're not the experts in all kinds of technologies. So the best way to then look at the world is to let the founders tell you what the future looks like. So when we meet entrepreneurs, we really start the conversation around what's your long-term vision? The industry that you're going into, how will that change over the next 10, 12, 15 years? And that really starts guiding our thought process. And then we take that and go back and validate some of those assumptions, some of those hypotheses. We have networks into pretty much every industry that you can think of. But we use those networks more to validate those assumptions, not to really come up with ideas of our own, right? Because again, we're not the depth insight holders. And that has allowed us to therefore invest in technologies that are being, wide set of technologies. So AI, blockchain, space tech, that are solving problems in industries such as manufacturing, logistics, telecom, healthcare, financial services, you name it. And similarly on the consumer side as well. So a lot of this, I guess the bottom line is we love to learn from really insightful founders and then do our homework in the background to understand how the industry would react.
No, I love it. I mean, it's a great story, and it's interesting to me that you're founder-based first and not. It's a different take on, I would say, the venture funding in multiple ways. Number one, the fact that you're working with immigrant founders is super interesting to me. And when you put it in that perspective, when you're like, it already takes 200% of your time to run the company and to do what you need to do. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I had to do that. If I had to also at the same time worry about the immigration side of things, which is a full-time job in itself. It's like you don't have that other 100% of time. And so you combine that with trying to launch it. I'm like, wow, I never even thought about that. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and to be fair, look, people have done it, right? There's no, I'm not going to pretend that it's not doable. It's the real arbitrage is, does the entrepreneur and investors in that business, do you want that time to go into learning and solving immigration? Or figuring out access? Or exactly, it's the opportunity,
it's just opportunity cost.
Time,
literally, you can't do the same thing.
Speed up growth using that same time.
Man, I love it. So Nitin, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Unshackled Ventures or to keep up with what you're up to, what's the best way for them to connect?
So we're very transparent. Everything that we do in terms of the process we run, stages we like to invest at, everything's on our website. And the other thing we did is recognizing that not every entrepreneur will have deep connections in the VC industry to find introductions to us, we also opened the form online. So everything we get, whether it's a referral or direct, goes to that form. Just go to our website, unshackledvc.com, look at Pitch Us, and everything that comes through is seen by at least 2 people in the firm, if not more. So it's not a black hole where, something's going to just go and die. Everyone is going to get a response, a thoughtful response. So the easiest way really to reach us is go to that Pitch Us form and find us. Other than that, all of our team members, we're very much available on your LinkedIn, Twitter, and some of the younger members on newer ways to connect. And, just reach out. We like to meet founders. We like to meet founders early in their journey. So we've never told anyone that you're too early for us, but you may be too late for us. So don't wait to reach out. If you think you're working on something ambitious, reach out sooner rather than later.
Oh, I love it. Great work there. Well, hey, Nitin, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about what you're doing over at Unshackled Ventures and how you're helping your founders. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave some comments in the video section. I'd love to hear what you're working on and what kind of businesses you have going on. And Nitin, thanks again for coming on the show.